Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, we're going to be breaking down the NBA slate on Draftkings and Yahoo for Wednesday, March the 10th. This is our first slate back from the All-Star break, so I hope you guys had a really good break. Obviously, I haven't been making any videos over the last week or so. There's been no NBA games. I don't really play anything else besides, my three main sports, so I didn't want to make videos for any other sports. Just took some time off, just kind of tried to refresh my brain a little bit. NBA DFS, it can become very mentally draining when you do play every single day. I always look forward to the breaks, especially, during basketball season, during baseball season. When we get the All-Star breaks halfway through, it's just, a little bit of time where you can kind of, step away from DFS for a little bit, just relax your mind, just not stare at your computer screen, stare at your phone all day long. But I'm excited to get back for sure. I do enjoy the break, but once it gets to the final few days before the break's over with, I start to get, a little bored, start to, miss the daily grind. I am ready to get back to it. Obviously, not the most appealing slate right out of the gate. We only have a two-gamer to start off with, but I think on Thursday we have a big slate Thursday, like 10 or 11 games. But still, for Wednesday's two-gamer, we'll break it down team by team like we always do. Appreciate all you guys tuning in as always. If you are new here, hit that subscribe button down below. Do appreciate all you being here, hitting the subscribe button. All of you that have subscribed to the channel, I do greatly appreciate that. Be sure to click the like button as well and click that notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload. You also get notified every time I do go live. We do have a later lock today. We have an 8 o'clock Eastern lock time, so most likely, if I'm able to stream today, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to, but if I am, I'll be live a little bit later than normal, probably around 5:30 Eastern time. Might even go live, around 6 or so. But yeah, if I do go live today, it'll be a little bit later than normal. Only a two-game slate, so there won't be too much to talk about. Won't be really too much news that comes out during the day. But it just feels good to be back. I do want to start, pumping out content again. Obviously, getting a video up for today. Want to stream if I can. I'll just have to wait and see, but let's go ahead and take a look at tonight's slate. We'll start off with the Washington and Memphis game, and we'll start off on the Wizards side. So with the Wizards, you guys know this is a team that this season, when they're fully healthy, I really haven't played many guys on the Wizards outside of Westbrook and Beal. I think on a two-game slate where we're kind of limited with options, our player pool is obviously a lot tighter than normal. There are some guys from the Wizards outside of Westbrook and Beal that I think are viable on a short slate like this, but obviously it starts with the top two guys. You got Westbrook coming in at 10,100. You got Beal coming in at 9,400. I mean, on a two-game slate, like both these guys are really good plays. I don't need to tell you that. There are other stars you can pay up for. We do have Luka Doncic. We have Porzingis. We have Morant, Valanciunas that we can look to. But I think Westbrook and Beal are two of the best options to pay up for today. Westbrook, 10,100. He's just been super good this year, man. He's been stuffing the stat sheet. These teams did play, a few days before the All-Star break, and Westbrook did have a really good game against Memphis. 58 Draftkings points in 36 minutes. He's just been doing everything. Been scoring, been getting rebounds, been getting assists. I mean, he's a legit triple-double threat basically every night. It's a really good game environment. It's a fast-paced game. It's a matchup Westbrook should have plenty of success in once again. I think he is a very strong pay-up option today, but right now there isn't a ton of value, so it's going to be pretty hard to get to Westbrook if you want to go that route. I think you'll be able to get him in, but I don't know if you're going to be able to get him in with multiple studs. There's just not enough value to make it work. Taking the savings and going with a guy like Bradley Beal, I think does make plenty of sense. I do like Bradley Beal quite a bit. I like that he's $700 cheaper than Westbrook as well. I think with those savings, that does make Bradley Beal, in my opinion, a little bit of a better option, especially because Bradley Beal is shooting guard, and shooting guard's a much weaker position than point guard today. There's plenty of point guards that are viable, in my opinion, outside of Westbrook, whereas shooting guard, there's not as many options that I do like, so definitely think Bradley Beal is a very good option, 9,400. I mean, you can't go wrong with him or Westbrook on a short slate like this, but I think I do prefer Beal, especially on Yahoo. I like Beal quite a bit over there because obviously at shooting guard, like I said, there's not a ton of options that stand out. You have guys like Derek White, Jalen Brunson, Josh Richardson. Do I really want to play them? Especially with Luka, healthy. Do I want to pay $17 for Jalen Brunson? Not really. Lonnie Walker, now that Derek White's back, I just don't have much confidence in. I think DeAnthony Melton as a cheap option makes some sense at $13, but if I can, I want to try and pay up for Bradley Beal at shooting guard on Yahoo as well. So he's definitely a stud I'm trying to get in today. I like him and Westbrook. I think given the savings, given the position, I'd probably take Bradley Beal over Westbrook today, though. And then Rui Hachimura, he's someone that I really haven't played at all this year, but on a short slate like this, I think he is viable. If this game's close, we're going to get probably 30 to 32 minutes from Rui. At 5,300, that's not that appealing of a price tag for Rui. He hasn't really been good this year. He hasn't been producing at a high level. I mean, out of his last 10 games, he only has 2 games over 30 fantasy points. But still, it's a good matchup. It's a fast-paced game. It's a good game environment. Rui is definitely someone I'll have in my player pool today. He'll be in consideration for me just because we don't have a ton of options, and he's someone that I think is viable on a short slate like this. I don't know if I'm going to be going to anyone else on the Wizards, though. I think Bertans at 4,400, he makes some sense. He's going to play probably 26 to 28 minutes. We know Bertans is one of those guys that can, he can always get hot, start knocking down threes. I don't have much confidence in Bertans, but as a tournament play that has some upside, I don't mind him. Don't think I'm going to anyone else on the Wizards, though. So we can go ahead and move on to the other side of this game with Memphis. So with Memphis, I think they're probably the most appealing team on this slate. Ja Morant, I think, looks like one of the best plays on the slate once again. I loved him in this matchup. When they played right before the All-Star break, he had a huge game. I'm going right back to Ja Morant. I think he's a top option. Like him on both sides. On Yahoo, $33 over there. I think, that's just too cheap for Ja Morant in this matchup. Wizards this season, they've been one of the worst defensive teams in the league. They play at a very fast pace. We saw Morant have a huge game against Washington when they played on March 2nd. 58 DK points in 33 minutes. Had a big game right after that against Milwaukee. 51 DK points in 39 minutes. Right before the break, Morant was really starting to play well. He's someone that we know has that kind of upside in him. He's a guy that can go out there and, stuff the stat sheet. He does have triple-double upside. He can, obviously, he's a great scorer, but he can chip in with rebounds. He can chip in with assists as well. In a great matchup like this, even at 7,800, I have no problems playing that or paying that price tag for Morant, especially on a short slate like this where our options are pretty limited. I think Morant's a top option here in this matchup. So he's a guy that I really like from Memphis. And J-Val, I'm going to be looking to go right back to him. He burned me in this spot a couple weeks ago when they played against Washington. He got into some foul trouble, only had 35 DK points in 29 minutes. But if you take out the foul trouble, or Valanciunas, he was on pace to play around 32, 33 minutes had he not been in foul trouble. He still had a solid game. But I think, in this matchup at 7,100, that's just too cheap for J-Val against this, bad Wizards defense, this Wizards team that can't rebound either. This is a spot where J-Val can definitely dominate on the board. So I really like him here. He had 16 rebounds when they played last time. I don't want to say he can go out there and put up 20 and 20, but he's got that kind of upside in him. We've seen huge games from J-Val in the past. At 7,100, I think he looks like one of the best center plays today. I love him on Yahoo as well. $26 over there. I think he's one of the top center options overall on this short slate. So really like J-Val, really like Morant. I think Kyle Anderson's also viable too. 6,300, that's not that appealing of a price tag for Kyle Anderson, but we're probably going to get 28 to 30 minutes from him. He did have that stretch where he was I think he was out for a few games. He was able to return right before the break. He only played 26 minutes against Milwaukee, but he got a week off. I'd assume he gets back to his normal minutes today. I don't mind Anderson at 6,300. I wish he was a little bit cheaper, but he's definitely viable. Dylan Brooks, I do like quite a bit at his salary, 5,400. We do know that Grayson Allen is going to remain out for the Grizzlies, which is kind of surprising given they had a week off. I figured Allen would be back, but Grayson Allen is going to remain out. I don't know if that affects Dylan Brooks too much. It should secure him for 30-plus minutes, though, and he has played 30-plus minutes in 3 of their last 4 games, and obviously that Houston game was a massive blowout, but yeah, we know what we're getting from Dylan Brooks. The minutes are going to be there. The production, look, it's been all over the place this season for Dylan Brooks. He is a pretty scoring-dependent player. Obviously, in that game against Milwaukee, he was able to kind of have an outlier performance, 3 blocks, 3 steals, 7 assists. Those aren't things we can really expect from Dylan Brooks, but if he's going to be playing over 30-plus minutes in a good game environment and a fast-paced matchup, we saw him put up over 30 fantasy points against Washington when they played on the 2nd. He could easily do that again today. I think at 5,400, Dylan Brooks does look like a pretty appealing option as well for Memphis. And on Yahoo, I do like him over there as well, small forward, $21. The small forward position is pretty weak most nights, especially on a short slate like this. There's not going to be a ton of options that stand out, so I think Dylan Brooks does look very solid on Yahoo as well. Brandon Clark, don't know if I want to really go there. With Kyle Anderson back, I don't know what, in terms of minutes, we're going to get from Brandon Clark. He probably plays 26 to 28 minutes. He's viable at 5,200, but I think I would rather go to Dylan Brooks. Honestly, I'd probably rather play D'Anthony Melton for cheaper. D'Anthony Melton did have a huge game against Washington when they played on the 2nd. He had 39 DK points in 26 minutes. Only played 15 minutes a game after that, though, against Milwaukee. The minutes, they're kind of all over the place with these bench guys. You don't really know who's going to get the minutes, in terms of the bench guys. You don't really know who's going to get the minutes on a nightly basis. They could go to Justice Winslow. They could go to Melton. They could go to, anyone else. But I think with Grayson Allen out, the biggest beneficiary there is probably D'Anthony Melton. I think most nights we're going to get like 22 to 24 minutes from him, maybe a few more if he's playing really well. He is a guy that can be really productive on a point-per-minute basis. He's someone that can do a little bit of everything, can score, can get some rebounds, can get some assists. He can get defensive stats as well. You know, if we're going to get like 22, 24 minutes from D'Anthony Melton at 4,600, I think in tournaments he makes a lot of sense as a value option that you can definitely take a shot on. You know, he's been all over the place this season, but the upside is there when he does get the minutes. So I do have some interest in him from Memphis. Desmond Bane is probably going to start again with Grayson Allen out. He's only 4K. It's a good matchup. He's a decent value play. I guess if you're trying to fit in multiple studs, Desmond Bane is someone you could look to, but that probably does it for Memphis for me. I do want to mention Justice Winslow as well. He's kind of similar to D'Anthony Melton. Like, you don't exactly know where the minutes are going to be. I mean, he's played at least 20 minutes in 4 straight games, which I guess is good to see. Or he's actually played at least 20 minutes in every game so far this season. You know, he's not going to play like 30 minutes, but I think we're probably going to get 22, 24 minutes from Justice Winslow as well. You know, he could get a few more. D'Anthony Melton could get a few less, depending on who's playing well, depending on who's playing better. Winslow is another guy that can be relatively productive when he does get minutes. So I think taking shots on him, taking shots on D'Anthony Melton makes plenty of sense because those are the two guys I would expect to get, you know, kind of Grayson Allen's minutes I would expect to go kind of to those two guys. Obviously, Desmond Bane will get some run as well. But Winslow, I do like taking a shot on off the bench just for upside. A good point-per-minute player, probably gets over 20 minutes. He's cheap. It's a short slate. He's someone I have interest in. D'Anthony Melton as well I have interest in. But we can go ahead and move on to the next game, talk about San Antonio and Dallas. So San Antonio, they're a pretty tough team to break down today. We had, you know, right before the All-Star break, there was a lot of guys that were out for COVID protocols. Keldon Johnson, he was out for COVID protocols. He's back. You know, he obviously returned before the All-Star break, but he should be fully ramped up now since he got 2 games in before the break. But Derek White's back. Rudy Gay is back. So I don't really know what the minutes are going to look like. Plus, LaMarcus Aldridge is available to play as well. He missed their last game. Lately, they've been starting Dejounte Murray, Lonnie Walker, DeMar DeRozan, Trey Lyles, and Jakob Poeltl. I have no idea if that's the starting lineup that they run out there today. They could totally change things up. They could move Aldridge back into the starting lineup. They could move Keldon Johnson back into the starting lineup. We don't really know. It's tough to break down the San Antonio team not knowing who's going to start. Like, if Trey Lyles doesn't start, I have no idea how many minutes he plays because with now that Keldon Johnson's, you know, fully ramped up, now that Rudy Gay is back, now that Aldridge is available, like, I don't see any reason why Trey Lyles should play 30 minutes. Like, he was barely in the rotation before. Obviously, he was getting a ton of run when all these guys were out. But now that they're all back, like, if Trey Lyles is not starting, I don't have any interest in him. If Keldon Johnson or if LaMarcus Aldridge, if they move back into the starting lineup, I think they are very appealing, and they are probably my 2 favorite guys to target from San Antonio. Aldridge at 5,500, you know, he hasn't really been good this season, but if he's going to be back in the starting lineup, playing around 30 minutes, I think at 5,500, that is a little bit too cheap for Aldridge. He's shown some upside this year. You know, he's not going to play a ton, probably only going to play 28 to 30 minutes, but the upside is there at least. He did have a really good game against Dallas earlier this year for what that's worth. 5,500, if Aldridge is starting, that's just too cheap for him, in my opinion. So definitely need to keep an eye on that Spurs starting lineup. Keldon Johnson as well. He was playing off the bench, wasn't getting a ton of run. He played 2 games before the All-Star break, 11 minutes against the Knicks, and played 22 minutes against OKC. He came off the bench in both those games. Now that they had a full week to rest, like, does Keldon Johnson move back into the starting lineup and replace Trey Lyles? I mean, he could. I don't really know. If Keldon Johnson does move back into the starting lineup, I think at 5,100, he's definitely too cheap. If that's the case, I'd assume he'd get his normal minutes if he were to be in the starting lineup. So I'd have a lot of interest in him if he's starting. If Aldridge starts, though, and Poeltl goes back to the bench, I have no interest in Poeltl. If Johnson starts and Lyles goes back to the bench, I have no interest in Lyles. I don't really want to play Lonnie Walker. I don't really want to play Rudy Gay or Patty Mills. Derek White could be viable at 5K. We just don't know how many minutes he's going to play. He hasn't played in almost a month. He was obviously out for COVID protocols. You know, I would assume he's still been keeping up in game shape. It's not like he was out for injury or anything. We'll just have to see. If Derek White's not limited, I think at 5K, he does look very appealing. If he's not on a minutes limit, he would be one of the guys I'd have interest in from San Antonio. But like even DeRozan and Murray, I don't really know if I want to pay 8K for DeRozan, 7,500 for Murray on this slate. I'd rather play Morant over Murray. I think DeRozan's viable just because he helps to fill the small forward position, and small forward it's really bad on this slate. I could definitely see paying up for DeRozan at small forward, but I don't think I'm going to get to much Murray. I think I'd just rather play Morant. But yeah, if Aldridge starts, I'd like him a lot. If Johnson moves back to the starting lineup, I'd like him a lot. And then, those other guys I really wouldn't have much interest in if they're going back to the bench. So San Antonio, kind of a tough team to break down. I want to see who they move into the starting lineup or what their starting lineup is. If they run out the same starting lineup that they were running out with Lyles and Pirtle in there, then they become viable. But it's tough to tell what their minutes are going to look like now that all these guys are back for San Antonio. Just kind of a tough team to break down, now they have so many bodies available now. But yeah, moving on to the Dallas side, we'll break down Dallas real quick before we do end this video. So with Dallas, it's kind of similar to Washington. Like the top two guys I usually have interest in every slate, Luka and Porzingis, and not too much else after that. But on a short slate like this, some of these other Dallas guys I think are viable. Obviously, though, it does start with Luka and Porzingis. Luka at 10,700. I think if I can play him over Westbrook, I think I would rather get to Luka on the slate. Obviously, Luka is a really good pay-up option. I don't need to tell you that. It's just a matter of if you can fit him in or not. I don't know if this is a slate where I'm going to be really going out of my way to play Luka. Normally on short 2-game slates like this, I don't play a ton of volume anyway. I normally play a lot lighter, and I expect to be doing that today. I'll be, fully ramping up my volume on Thursday. But if I can get to Luka, I think he's someone I want to try and play, but it's just tough because I really do like these mid-range options. I like Morant. I like J-Val. I just don't know if I can get Luka with those guys just because there isn't really any value, and I don't think there's going to be any value on the slate unless someone unexpectedly gets ruled out. So Luka's a great play. It's just a matter of, if you can fit him in or not. Kind of the same with Porzingis. Not as much on DK. I think on Yahoo, Porzingis looks a lot more appealing over there. He's a center on Yahoo. He's $33. For the savings, I think I would rather play J-Val, but, Porzingis at $33 I think is a very appealing center option if you can get to him. But then these other guys we do need to talk about. So like Jalen Brunson for $5,700. I don't think I really want to pay that price tag for Brunson, especially with Luka back. Obviously, Brunson was a top option the last slate on March 3rd whenever Luka was out. Brunson was a very popular play. He got priced up because of Luka being out. Now that Luka's back, I don't really want to pay $5,700 for Brunson, but I think $4,900 for Josh Richardson. I'm fine paying that price tag for him on a short slate like this. Richardson is normally not someone I play whenever Dallas is fully healthy, but we just don't have many options today. It's a short slate. We know we're going to get at least over 30 minutes from Josh Richardson if this game is close. At $4,900, he can easily give you 28, 30 DK points and be a solid play at his price tag. So I do have some interest in him. Same thing with Tim Hardaway. I normally don't play Tim Hardaway when Luka's healthy, when all these guys are healthy, but for $4,800, just kind of searching for a cheaper option that has some upside. We know Tim Hardaway can randomly pop off at times, can get hot off the bench. Don't mind him either at $4,800. Don't really want to go to DFS though. Maxi Kleber I think is viable just because he's still super cheap, $4,300. Gonna start, play around 28 to 30 minutes. Rarely do I play Maxi Kleber when Luka and Porzingis are healthy, but we're kind of desperate for value, and I think these are the kind of guys we're going to be looking to. Like, if we need options under 5K, they at least have potential to get 6X. I think we're going to be looking to these Dallas guys, Richardson, THJ, Maxi Kleber. Normally, I wouldn't be looking to these guys, but on a 2-gamer, I think they are viable. And obviously, though, the guys I'm most confident in on Dallas are definitely Luka and Porzingis. But yeah, that basically does it for this slate. Just real quickly, to finish out the 5 plays, I do want to go back to San Antonio. I forgot to talk about LaMarcus Aldridge, or I did mention him a little bit, but LaMarcus Aldridge, I'm assuming that he moves back into the starting lineup. I don't think it's going to be like a permanent move, him coming off the bench. When Aldridge was healthy at the beginning of the year, he was starting over Pirtle. I think Pirtle was just starting in place of Aldridge just, because Aldridge was dealing with injuries. He hasn't really ramped up his minutes. Now that he's had a full week to rest, he's not on the injury report, I think it's very likely that they do move Aldridge back into the starting lineup. And if that is the case, I think at $5,500, if Aldridge is starting, he looks like a really good option on both sides. He is super cheap on Yahoo as well. I did want to mention him one last time before we end this video. $16. He's a center on Yahoo, which sucks. I wish he was power forward, but even at center, $16 is pretty cheap for Aldridge, especially if he's going to be back in the starting lineup. That's going to be something to monitor, but definitely like Aldridge if he is starting today. And Keldon Johnson as well, if he's starting, I'd like quite a bit at $5,100. But yeah, guys, that basically does it for today's short little 2-game slate. Just a little quick breakdown, team-by-team breakdown. Obviously, we don't have much to talk about today, but on Thursday, when there's a bunch more games, we'll be able to break everything down for Thursday's slate, have a lot more in-depth information. Have a much longer video then. I don't think I'm really going to be playing a ton of volume on this 2-gamer, but I'll definitely be ramping things up again on Thursday. But still, guys, it feels good to have basketball back. Feels good to be making content again. I hope you guys did enjoy this video. I do appreciate you watching. If you did enjoy, just hit that like button before you do get out of here. Hit that subscribe button as well. Click the notification bell so that way you do get notified every time I upload and you get notified every time I do go live. I plan on going live this afternoon. It'll be a little bit later than normal. We do have a later lock, only a 2-game slate. I'll probably go live around 5:30, 6 o'clock Eastern time. So if you are free then, if you want to tune into the stream, we can break everything down once again. I can answer all you guys' questions. Be sure to tune into the stream. Hit the like button, guys. Hit the subscribe button. Check out my Patreon content. Link down below in the description as well if that's something that does interest you. And yeah, good luck tonight, guys. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Peace.